Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Barfield, and I'm an AP coordinator at Wilson Hall in South Carolina. And we are excited to have you with us today for the workshop. This session is for new and experienced AP coordinators who want detailed, step by step guidance for student enrollment and fall ordering. If you are an experienced coordinator and are comfortable with that process, please watch our AP Coordinator Back to School workshop for experienced coordinators on demand video. And now I'd like to welcome our workshop presenter and my colleague, Danielle Volan. Hey, Danielle.
Hi, Susan. Thanks for the introduction. Again, I would like to welcome all of you to our new coordinator workshop. I'm Danielle Volan, a 13-year AP coordinator at Pike High School in Indianapolis, Indiana. Being a new AP coordinator can feel like scrapbooking. One may ask themselves, how? Scrapbooking can be very overwhelming the first time one does it. An album is selected, pictures are printed, and supplies are all laid out, yet one still has no idea where to begin. As the pages come alive with design ideas, one is filled with a sense of accomplishment and pride. As new AP coordinators, we read about different activities that must be done, but have no idea where to begin, where to locate information on the website, or who to even ask for help. Today, we're here to help guide everyone through the process so we can all feel a sense of accomplishment when we hit that submit button to order our exams. But before we get started with today's agenda, it's a good idea to make sure we know who is and is not eligible to be an AP coordinator. So, as we begin, the AP coordinator eligibility, let's find out who can be an AP coordinator. So let's look at a thumbs up, thumbs down on who can be the coordinator. An administrator is true. They can be the AP coordinator. Counselor faculty member is also true. A school staff member that's not a teacher, true. A current non AP teacher, true. A current AP teacher is our first false. Employed by a company that provides test preparation services is also false. The AP coordinator in the year an immediate family or household member may be taking an AP exam at the school where the coordinator works or at any other school is also false. And I would like to note that the immediate family member or household member includes parents, siblings, children, grandparents, and spouse, regardless of if they live in the same household or not.
Danielle, I would like to add, and if anyone has just discovered that they are ineligible to be an AP coordinator, plan on having a conversation with your school administration right away. And now, here is a special welcome from our colleague, Carly Sugay.
Hi, fellow AP coordinators. My name is Carly Suge, and I'm a high school counselor and AP coordinator at my alumni high school, Costa Mesa High School in Southern California. And now I'm the co host of the Coordinated Podcast, the podcast for us, AP coordinators. But believe it or not, this is not my first position as an AP coordinator. In fact, this is the third high school in which I've been chosen to take on this role. Notice how I used the word chosen. In other words, I was voluntold for this position 3 times. And I know for a lot of us, that might be your same situation. Someone left and you were placed into this position. You get a new position that also comes with the AP coordinator role, or your principal walked by your office and casually graced you with this opportunity. However, you arrived here, you're here, and you're not alone, my friends. I remember the feeling of stepping into this role each time with new worries. It can admittedly be overwhelming at times. I remember feeling very alone and trying to create a brand new system from scratch each time. And that is where we stop, take a deep breath, and dive into this community of AP coordinators who are going through the same hesitations and questions as you are. And most importantly, a group of like minded people to bounce ideas off of, brainstorm together, get their tips and tricks, and build your program to work the way that works for you. Stay tuned to hear more about specific resources that will truly help you along the way. Quick plug again for our coordinated podcast. If we've learned anything in the past few years, it's how to look for the silver linings, reframing our situation in a way that brings the best to light. And in that spirit, I encourage you to look at this position that you might have been voluntold for into a volun gift. Maybe we're working with students that we normally wouldn't be, stepping into a leadership role with teachers we wouldn't have considered before. And most importantly, we are providing an opportunity for our students to learn and grow in ways that they couldn't if we were not their AP coordinator. And that, my friends, is a true gift. While your students might not throw a celebratory parade for you after the end of AP exams, I'm still working on that kind of fanfare myself. Please know that you being here is a sign that you are taking this gift and running with it. You are in the right place, and we look forward to seeing you at many more learning opportunities along the way. You got this. We're all in this together. Have a great workshop.
All right, so Danielle, let's get started with our workshop. Here's today's agenda for our new AP coordinators. We're going to start with a program overview, and then we're going to talk about resources and supports, then AP registration and ordering, then student enrollment, and then we're going to end with our AP exam order. So let's get this workshop started.
Yes, the first item on our agenda is going to be a program overview. During this section, we will learn about what I know about my role as an AP coordinator, who on my campus is helping me with this year, what am I supposed to do and when, what are the deadlines, and how much does it cost? Each section will provide you with wonderful art pieces that were submitted for May 2023 art and design portfolios. The image that you see on the screen is from Yebin Sim from the Hill School in Pennsylvania. And as you can see, this is a 2D art submission. The AP program has been around since 1955, and they've been delivering excellence ever since to students all over the world. As many of us are trying to grow our AP programs, the AP program has grown to 40 AP courses. New last year was AP Pre-Calculus, new this year is AP African American Studies, and coming soon is AP Business Principles. So again, many schools have offered AP courses for decades, and others are just getting started. So if you would like to learn how to start and expand your AP program or recruit students to your AP program, please look at the links. Now, at my school, we currently offer 28 AP courses to approximately 600 students. And our most popular courses is a toss-up between our AP United States History and our English Language and Composition course. Now that we've shared a quick overview of the AP program, let's talk about how it benefits our students. Susan?
Benefits of an AP program: taking AP classes and exams can help students build skills and confidence. AP students explore subjects that interest them and develop problem solving skills. It also helps them stand out to colleges. 85% of selective colleges and universities report AP favorably impacts admissions. It also helps our students succeed in college. 3 out of 4 students enrolled in a 4-year college start school with some AP credit, and it also helps our students save time and money in college. Students who take AP courses and exams are more likely to finish their 4-year degree. And here are some great links at the bottom of this slide as well. Now, let's move on and let's talk about some of our favorite people, Danielle, AP coordinators.
Susan, saving time and money is always a benefit to my parents and students when I talk to them about the AP program. But again, yes, let's look at our role as AP coordinators. The statement comes from the AP Coordinators Manual, Part 1. The manual provides documented policies for all AP coordinators, but we're going to talk about that more in just a bit. The statement you see here helps to focus our efforts for the school year as we support students and teachers. I would like to highlight this portion as it specifically describes our responsibilities throughout the school year. You'll manage the exam registration and ordering process, the receipt, storage, distribution, and administration, security, and return of AP exam materials, and the collection of fees and submission of final payment to the AP program. There's a lot, this statement, that we do throughout the year. So let's look at what exactly will we be doing throughout the academic school year. Now, let's see what this looks like using a timeline overview. So here are the major tasks that we manage from August through July, from setting up AP registration and ordering all the way to administering exams during the month of May. This is a lot to cover, but I do want to stress that we are only focused on a small portion of the school year for this workshop. So as you can see on the screen, we will only be focusing on the setup and enrollment process, which all leads to ordering AP exams in the fall. And I would like to note that this may look like a lot, but we are not working alone. Again, this is a team effort. Sometimes that team might be of one, sometimes there may be other people that are helping you to support our AP program. There are 3 team members that we are going to talk about today. We're only going to highlight 2 in the early portion of this program, and we're going to talk about the third one later on. Who doesn't like a good mystery? So, our first team member will be the Services for Students with Disabilities coordinator, and our second team member is our Technology coordinator. So, let's look at the SSD coordinator first and how they support and interact with us.
Okay, so services for students with disabilities are fondly known as the SSD coordinator. To take an AP exam with accommodations, a student must be approved by the College Board SSD office. So the SSD coordinator will work with students, parents, or counselors to identify students. They will also help collect all the appropriate paperwork. SSD coordinators also use the SSD Online account to submit a request. SSD Online is a different system than our own AP registration and ordering. And just like us, SSD coordinators have deadlines to meet. They must submit all required documentation by January 24th. And they're also going to maintain and manage all requests.
So, what does this look like from the AP coordinator side? First and foremost, we will communicate with the SSD coordinator on the status of accommodations that impact AP exams. Once we have received confirmation that students have been approved for their accommodations, we'll need to make sure that we order any required special format exam materials. And finally, we will need to make sure that we schedule time to train our proctors to administer exams for students with approved accommodations.
Danielle, can you give us an example of how you collaborate with your SSD coordinator?
Yes, Susan. Honestly, ever since the SAT suite of assessments has gone digital, my job has become easier because a lot of my students have their accommodations approved before AP exam time. But the first thing that I do to help my SSD coordinator out is email all of my AP teachers to find out which students have IEPs and 504s. And then I gather all signatures for the required forms, and then I report those back to our SSD coordinator, who gathers all the required documents and submits them online.
Well, okay, that sounds really great and very organized. But how do you keep up with up-to-date requests on like new students?
So that is a little bit challenging, especially if we have students coming in and out throughout the year. So I always make sure to stay in communication with my AP teachers to find out if there have been any changes with their students and any new students who've come into their school.
Great, thank you. Well, let's move on to talk about the technology coordinator. All right, so the technology coordinator is going to be pretty important to us this year because some, if not many, AP exams will require technology during testing. So, our technology coordinator is going to assist us with technology required for the AP Chinese and AP Japanese language and culture exams. These exams are only available in digital format. They will also assist us with apps and technology required for the world language and AP Music Theory exams. And they're going to help us with the Blue Book testing app, which is going to be required for any in school digitally administered AP exams.
Susan, my best friend is always our maintenance crew, but I think I'm going to have a new best friend this year with our technology coordinator.
I think
So,
we
one of the
all
things, yes, I know we all are. So, one of the things that I do is I share all documentation, any emails, and access codes that I receive with my technology coordinator. And I also invite them to any digital exam webinars that are going to be hosted. I also make sure that my AP students, teachers, and proctors are all familiar with the required apps and technology prior to exam day. And finally, I help students with their submission of recordings for scoring through the Digital Audio Submission DOS portal. So that covers the two main roles we interact with throughout the year. And again, we're going to save that third one for later.
Mhm.
But first, we also interact with many, many more colleagues while supporting our AP program. So, who is that first team member that's going to also support us in this program, Susan? It is our leadership team. So, first and foremost, there are quite a few different items that you will do and complete with your leadership team. But the main things you really want to establish are what are our fee policies as well as our test taking policies. You really want to talk about what you're going to charge and how you're going to collect those fees.
Okay, our next person is going to be the counselors. If you're not already a counselor, you are definitely going to engage with your counselors because our counselors are very important because they help communicate changes to student schedules and enrollment, and especially helping us with those transfer students.
Next are our AP teachers. They're going to be extremely important to you, especially at the start of the school year, because they will assist with student enrollment in class sections.
And then our communications team, Danielle, is very important because they help us share AP related material, especially out in the world of social media.
Yes. And as I stated before, the maintenance team is my best friend who will also, I will have my technology coordinator joining them, but they are the ones that will receive and ship AP exam materials and notify you when those materials arrive and they will also assist you with the setup of your testing locations.
Okay, last but certainly not least are going to be our proctors. Where would we be without our proctors? They help us with all things test weeks. They help us assist with preparation as well as monitor all the tests. Now, that is all the roles that engage with us as AP coordinators. Let's switch some gears and then let's talk about the AP exam administration schedule.
So, here's our AP exam administration schedule for May 2025. During the standard administration, they will take place during the first 2 full weeks of May. So that will be May 5th through May 16th. Late administration testing will take place the third full week of May, and that will be May 19th through the 23rd. Please check the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1 for more about the AP exam schedule, and you can also check it out online. I do want to make a special note that in the upper right-hand corner, you will see an icon that says AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1. Whenever you see this icon on any slide, it indicates more information is available in the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1. But we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. So that's the AP exam schedule. Now let's talk about the format of the AP exams themselves.
Okay, let's start with the digital AP exams. So here's what's happening. Starting in May 2025, standard paper will be discontinued for 28 AP exams. All schools, including schools and test centers outside of the United States, must administer the 28 exams digitally. Students will take digital exams in Blue Book, the same platform used for the SAT suite of assessments. AP coordinators and proctors will administer digital exams using the Test Day Toolkit web application. And for our math, science, and economics exams that require graphing or symbolic notation, students will view free response questions and prompts in Blue Book and then write their answers in paper exam booklets. So, just a quick review. Paper exams will not be utilized for 28 AP exams coming up in May. And one additional note, the Blue Book platform that is used for testing does configure to provide digital assistance for those students who need extended time and approved accommodations.
Susan, I'm a little bit excited and a little bit nervous about all those digital exams that are going to be coming this school year. So let's talk about which AP exams will be fully digital in format. So, first and foremost, a fully digital format exam is where students will complete the multiple choice as well as the free response questions in the Blue Book app, and all those responses will be automatically submitted at the end of the exam. So, as you look on the screen, you will notice that the social science exams are all digital. English exams are also digital. AP Environmental Science is the only science that will be fully digital, in addition to AP Art History and then the AP Computer Science exams as well. It is important to note that all administrations, both standard and late, the exams will be fully digital.
All right, our next digital format is hybrid. Students will complete multiple choice questions and view free response questions in Blue Book. They will handwrite their free response answers in paper exam booklets, which will be returned for scoring. So you can see here on the list, these are covering our STEM subjects, such as biology, chemistry, the economics, the physics, all the way down to statistics. And it's important again to note that all administrations, both standard and late, will be hybrid digital, no paper exams. And you will notice a great link on the bottom of the slide. We're going to discuss more about this link in just a few minutes. But let's move on.
So we discussed that 28 exams will be issued in some form of digital format. But what about the other AP exams? So the other AP exams will remain the same, but these exams require additional resources and or special equipment to administer. So some exams that require a digital portfolio system, meaning that they will upload some component or all components of their work, are AP Art and Design. If you participate in any AP capstone programs with seminar research, and then AP Computer Science Principles. Exams that require special equipment for recording or listening are all your world language exams except for Chinese and Japanese and Latin, and then music theory. Exams that will be administered on a computer but that will not use the Blue Book app are AP Chinese Language and Culture, as well as AP Japanese Language and Culture. So, Susan, how many of these exams do you offer at your school, and what do you keep in mind as you plan for the exams?
Well, Danielle, we offer 9 of these exams. So right now I am focusing on kind of forward planning. I am thinking about the colleagues I need to speak to, the capstone teachers, the language teachers, the music teacher, and making sure that I have everything that I need as I'm looking towards May. And as you will see in a bit, we will have lots of support throughout the year so that we do not have to worry about anything as we do forward planning for all our exams coming up in May. So, Danielle, that covers all AP exams in their formats. And so let's move ahead now on to an important question that I think is probably on all our minds right now.
Yes. Some of these important pieces of information that we have are what deadlines do we need to remember? So if you're taking notes, grab a paper and a pencil and get ready. So we're going to talk about the exam ordering deadlines. So the final ordering deadline will be November 15th, 2024 by 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So, which exams do we have to have submitted by this deadline? They are your standard full year and fall semester only AP courses, as well as all exam only sections without incurring additional fees. Exams can still be ordered or canceled after this date, although a fee applies in some cases. Again, that final ordering deadline is November 15th, 2024 by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, so our spring course orders and fall order changes deadline is March 14th, 2025, 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. All right, so this is the deadline to order all exams for AP courses, such as spring semester only courses that begin after the November 15th deadline that Danielle just talked about, and to update fall orders. Late order fees, cancel exam fees, and unused exam fees may apply. And one special note, our international schools that are working with test centers, your deadlines may be different and your instructions may be a little different than ours. Thank you.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about exam fees. One thing to note is that the cost per AP exam is increasing by $1. The amount of the College Board fee reduction is also increasing by $1. So, what are the fees for AP exams when they are ordered on time? So, schools that are in the United States and US territories, Canada, and do DoADEA schools will be charged $99 per exam. Schools everywhere else will be charged $129 per exam. I would like to note that fees may vary for exams at College Board authorized test centers outside of the United States. And if you're giving AP capstone exams like AP Seminar or AP Research, the fee will be $147 per exam.
Okay, the College Board fee reduction for eligible students is $37 per exam. And for further information on eligibility, please consult the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1.
Okay, what about our school rebate fee? That will be $9. So, where does that come from? So, schools will only be invoiced $90, not the 99, for non-free reduced exams. So that's the $99 exam fee minus the $9 school rebate fee equals our 99 or $90 invoiced exam fee. Schools and international test centers continue to determine how and when to collect exam fees and how much.
Danielle, can I just say I am so thankful that you are doing the math tonight.
You are very welcome, Susan. But we are not done with that math yet. We also have late order and late testing fees.
Okay, so the late order fee is $40 per exam, and that is going to apply to any exams ordered after the November 15th deadline. And again, it is applicable for our full year courses, our fall semester courses, and our exam only courses. This $40 fee is in addition to the base exam fee. And please consult your AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1 for exceptions.
Yes. And then we have the late testing fee. So that will be $40 and it's applicable for alternate exams administered in the late testing window. And it's in addition to the base exam fee. So if you're in the United States and you have a $99 exam fee, the $40 will be added to that. Now, I would like to note that most reasons for late testing do not incur the $40 late testing fee. More information is provided in the AP Coordinator's Manual, Part 1. Canceled and unused exam fees for the 2024-2025 school year. So I would like to note that the March 14th date that you see on the screen highlighted in black is a really important date for you to pay attention to. So if you look on the screen to the left, those exams before March 14th are called ordered before March 14th are called canceled exam fees. If you look to the right, exams after the March 14th ordering deadline are unused exam fees. Again, we are no longer able to cancel an exam after March 14th. We can only indicate as unused. So, what is a canceled exam fee? Exams canceled in AP registration and ordering after the November 15th deadline and by the March 14th deadline are considered canceled exams. The original exam fee is removed from the invoice and you will only be charged the $40. To ensure accurate invoicing, cancel exams in AP registration and ordering.
Okay, so again, March 14th, after March 14th, an exam becomes unused. These are exams that are ordered, but they're not administered, so they become unused exams. Unused exams cannot be transferred to another student. So the original fee is removed from the invoice, but to ensure accurate invoicing, indicate an exam as unused in AP registration and ordering. All right, so Danielle, that covers exams and fee information. Let's now talk about collecting AP exam fees.
Yes, collecting AP exam fees is a local decision, as well as the amount schools collect is also a local decision. So, how and when schools collect AP exam fees, schools can collect prior to or after the exam order has been submitted. Some schools utilize additional funding sources in lieu of collecting exam fees. Some schools don't collect any fees at all. The amount schools collect is also that local decision. So some schools collect a deposit prior to ordering to cover any canceled or unused exam. Some schools collect the full exam fee at one time, and many schools receive additional federal and state funding. I would also like to note that some schools collect a small amount of incremental money to cover certain costs like proctors, rental fees for offsite testing, etc. And if you are going to provide any type of refund, refund policies are also a school level decision. It's special to note that international schools working with test centers may have different deadlines and instructions. So, I would like to share a little story of how we collect exam fees at my school. So we did use a third party vendor where we would keep track of all the money that the students were bringing in and their payments. And I had a wonderful guidance administrative assistant that would help me out. But I'm pleased to announce that for the second year, my district will actually be covering exam fees that our state doesn't cover. So I no longer have to collect exam fees anymore.
Danielle, you are lucky that you don't have to worry about that. I have been an AP coordinator for many years, and I've kind of run the gamut from collecting money, chasing down checks, cashing, giving people exchange back to now we go through our school information system. So it's billed directly to the parents, and they have until March the 1st to pay all the students' exam fees. After March 1st, no exams are refunded at all, and everyone is ready to go for those May exams. All right, so let's move on, Danielle, to our second section.
Welcome back. We're on section 2, resources and supports. In this section, we will learn about what resources are available to me throughout the year. Where do I go to ask questions if I need help? Are there any trainings beyond this session? And what do I do if I cannot make a live training? So we understand that adult learners consume information in a variety of ways. And we recognize that some people learn best when they read, when they talk through issues and collaborate, watch videos, or even just listen or hear the information. So we have a wide variety of resources available to match all the different learning styles of AP coordinators. So, first, we're going to learn about the AP Coordinator Experience webpage. This webpage provides the latest training and professional development opportunities and resources for us, the AP coordinators. And it's hosted by our AP Coordinator Experience team. And they're available in person, online, and include on demand videos. Please visit it often throughout the school year for updates. And I would like to note that there is a special bookmark link on the screen that shows you the learning opportunities for AP coordinators.
So, Danielle, let's explore this webpage. Learning opportunities for AP coordinators. As you can see here, You can connect with our chat with our back to school workshop, which is great. So you can go and visit some more of those. You can also connect with our coordinated podcast. You can also look at AP registration and ordering videos. And then you can join the AP coordinator community, and you see some great links for the AP Coordinators Manual Part 1 and coming up next year's AP Coordinators Manual Part 2. And now that we're on talking about the AP Coordinators Manual, let's go on to that.
The AP Coordinator's Manual was available starting August 1st. And in this manual, you're able to see the AP exam schedule for this year, exam ordering deadlines and policies, exam fees, AP registration and ordering, as well as reviewing, updating, and submitting your exam order. Part 2 will cover topics after we submit our exam order and includes all exam administration and post administration tasks. It will arrive in early 2025. To access this resource, download and review it at the link provided here or online.
One additional note, Danielle, I'd like to add are our international schools working with outside test centers. Your deadlines and instructions may vary from what is found in the AP Coordinator's Manual. And speaking of the AP Coordinator's Manual, where else can we find the AP Coordinator's Manual but the AP Coordinator's Resource Library? And as a former English teacher, I love a good library. The AP Coordinator Resource Library. This is a year-round location to manage AP registration and ordering and prepare for your AP exam administration. It includes great resources such as our Parts 1 and 2 of our AP Coordinator's Manual, exam instructions, and subject-specific exam instructions. And it also contains some great additional resources such as our exam seating charts and exam day door signs. So it's a great resource and it's a library. So let's go and look at our library. So you can see that we have the AP Coordinators Manual Part 1 and the updated AP Coordinators Manual Part 2 will be also there in January of next year. And then we go and we have some exam instructions, and we have some resources for students helping them join their class sections. And then we have, like I said before, these wonderful video series and learning opportunities for AP coordinators and exam day door signs. Some really great resources in our AP Coordinators Library.
Now, let's look at the monthly AP Coordinator communications that we receive via email. I love the AP Coordinator newsletter because it features reminders for upcoming deadlines and newly released resources, as well as gives us a monthly checklist on what we need to complete and what we need to look at that's coming ahead. Links to important course specific information is also included. The AP Coordinator training email features items such as previews and registration links for upcoming training opportunities, links to the most recent coordinated podcast episodes, and links to recently released on demand training videos. One best practice that I like to complete is I like to have a folder specific for this year's AP communication. So in my Outlook box, I have a folder for just this year, and it makes it very easy for me to go back and forth and see the communication that I'm looking for this year instead of my entire inbox.
You know, Danielle, I love this best practice. I'm actually starting to do that this year, and I think it's going to be fantastic. And I am really kind of excited about it. So let's go on and talk about Digital AP exam webpage. I mentioned this link earlier in our workshop. So this is the Digital AP Exam webpage. This is going to be the source for all digital AP exam information. It is going to feature information on the Blue Book testing app, our test day toolkit, exam day guides, technology resources, and accommodations. There will also be some digital AP webinars and on-demand videos will also be available throughout the school year. I have a feeling that this web page, along with the technology coordinator, they are going to be our best friends for this next AP year. And as I mentioned earlier, we have some really great resources for our digital exams. So please make sure that you check this exam webpage out.
The AP academic calendar covers all major dates that are important to us coordinators. Ordering deadlines, AP exam administration dates, additional key dates such as fee reductions, shipping, and invoice postmark. Other items that are also important to us are the fall and spring sessions of Chat with a Coordinator, the release party for the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 2, as well as our back to school workshops. Please bookmark the link for the AP academic calendar for 2024-2025.
Another great resource is our AP Coordinator Community. This is an online collaborative space moderated by a fellow AP coordinator. We can connect, share resources, and discover and exchange ideas. And these conversations are on the AP coordinator community in real time or what's known as the daily digest email. So when you join the coordinator community, you can set up your daily digest email. It comes to you once a day, and these are all the emails that have occurred within a 24-hour period. You get it in a timely one email a day, so it helps you stay up to date and connected with our AP coordinator community. So you can click the link and watch this great video on how to set up your own personalized daily digest email. And then please click on the link and join the AP coordinator community. There are over 9,000 of us, and let's get coordinated.
So, another one of my personal favorites is the Chat with a Coordinator. This event is hosted by experienced AP coordinators, and they're 1 hour Zoom sessions that are offered multiple dates and times and include special sessions for new AP coordinators as well as international schools. I think I enjoy this so much because it's participant driven. It's the participants that
Mhm.
figure out which topics we're going to discuss in a very casual and informative conversation. Sessions begin October 2024 and registration opens soon. So please bookmark that link, Chat with a Coordinator.
And one of our last but not least resources is our own coordinated podcast. And I think you might recognize Carly here. We heard from her earlier in our workshop. These are great free on demand audio conversations hosted by AP coordinators. You can listen when and where you want. And each episode really features timely topics of interest, best practices, and what's really going on in schools across the world. There are over 130,000 downloads and counting. So you can click on these QR codes here and get started listening to the Coordinated Podcast. We hope that you have found something here in our resources that has caught your eye or your ear, perhaps. And all these resources are designed to help all of us AP coordinators get connected and coordinated and chatting with everybody. And if these resources aren't enough, we've got one more additional thought, right, Danielle?
Yes, we do, Susan. The AP contact information that you see will include AP services for educators, ways for students to contact AP services. If you are the services for students with disabilities coordinator, how to contact them. There are a wide variety of ways that you can contact the individuals on this screen, whether or not it's a phone call, the contact form, or the wonderful live chat feature. This is an alternative to the phone call, and if it's blue, it means someone is available to help you right then and there. If it's gray, it means it's closed. Now, I personally have not used the live chat feature, but I've had plenty of students who've used it and they loved it. Whenever they needed help with their accounts and they weren't able to call, they could quickly use the live chat feature in their classroom, and they had wonderful things to say about the feature. Let's take a look at how all of our events and support ties together over the course of this school year.
I think this is a great slide because it shows our overview and resources. It kind of combines everything all at once. So at the top, you can kind of see where we are the busiest. The parts in red are busy, and the ones in green are maybe our low areas. And then it gives us those great dates one more time to remind us of those crucial dates, such as the November 15th deadline or the March 14th deadline. And then you see all those wonderful resources we've talked about when they're available during the year so that we can always stay connected and always be ready to help each other out in our coordinator community. So now let's move on and talk about AP registration and ordering because we want to make sure that we are all set up for success for our AP exams this year.
Yes, now we've hit item number 3 on our agenda, AP registration and ordering. In this section, we're going to learn how to access the site, how do our AP teachers become eligible to teach AP courses, how do we create class sections for AP teachers and students, and finally, how do I account for AP classes that start at different times of the school year? Now, before we begin, let's revisit our timeline to see exactly where we are in the school year when it comes to AP registration and ordering. So, if you look at the screen, you will notice that we are still in the months of August and September. This is where we will complete our setup for AP registration and ordering. Everything we review together will happen right at the beginning of the school year. So, what's the first step, Susan? So, the first step is the access code. And the access code is required for the initial setup of AP registration and ordering. This was emailed to both the AP coordinator and principal beginning August 1st. Every year, you will receive a new access code. If you did not receive an access code and you were the AP coordinator last year, please check your junk or spam email folders. If you are new to the role as AP coordinator, please check with your principal, or you can call AP Services for Educators. So once you receive your access code, what are the steps you need to follow to complete the initial setup? First, you'll need to log in to your myap.collegeboard.org website. You'll sign in using your College Board professional account. If you do not have a College Board professional account, you will need to create a new account. I would like to note that if you have completed anything with the SAT suite of assessments where you had to create a College Board account, that you do already have a College Board account. So please do not create multiple accounts. Once your account has been created, you will indicate your role as the AP coordinator. Then you must enter your access code and your school's name when prompted to verify. And finally, you will review and accept the terms of services for access to AP registration and ordering.
All right, so myap.collegeboard.org is the hub for everything AP. Our AP students can access their AP student accounts and their AP classroom. Our AP teachers will access their AP daily classroom. And AP coordinators, this is where we go to access our AP registration and ordering. But there's one more important step, Danielle.
Yes, there is.
All right, so when you get into AP registration ordering, you need to click on AP registration ordering. And as you can see here, it is, I think, kind of pink, purple, red, not quite sure, but it stands out. It's a beautiful color. And you click on that and you start your setup process. Now, the best practice is to set up your setup process all at once. I know that's something that I do each and every year. I am intentional with this practice.
The AP participation form serves as an agreement to exam administration policies. This must be electronically signed and submitted by the AP coordinator before submitting an exam order. So please remember that you will not be able to submit your exam order until you've completed the participation form. Once it's completed, the form will be emailed to the AP coordinator, and you will also have access to the form by going to AP registration and ordering settings page. This form will also be sent to your principal. A best practice in order to avoid extra steps is to complete the participation form during the initial setup process.
Danielle, I think we're closer to solving our mystery.
I think we are too, Susan, so let's look at it. So again, we said that there were 3 people for that team effort, and we covered 2 with the Student with Services for Disabilities coordinator and the technology coordinator. So Susan, who is this third mystery team member that we're going to learn about?
Okay, here we go.
And this is our AP course audit administrator. So much like the SSD coordinator, this may or may not be someone who also serves as the AP coordinator. The AP Course Audit Administrator is responsible for managing the AP Course Audit process, and this has a direct impact on AP registration and ordering. So let's talk about that now. The AP Course Audit is where AP courses are authorized by the AP program through the AP Course Audit process. The audit confirms the teacher's awareness of the course scope and exam information, as well as making sure that high schools are able to include the AP designation on transcripts. If you need any help with the AP course audit process, here are some very valuable links that you can open to get more information. You might be asking yourself, why is the AP course audit so important to the initial setup process? So let's find out now. So we're going to look at the AP course audit process and see why it's important to various individuals who will begin their setup with the AP course audit process. So, as an AP teacher new to AP courses, they will access AP Course Audit to submit the online AP Course Audit form. Teachers can adopt AP unit guides, submit a syllabus of their own creation, or they can submit a syllabus that has been previously authorized by a colleague, or they can select one of the sample syllabi in their course form. The deadline to submit is January 31st.
Okay, our next person is the AP Course Audit Administrator. The AP Course Audit Administrator accesses AP Course Audit to approve the AP teacher's course audit form. The administrator will also work with teachers if their course syllabus is not approved. They will also renew courses in AP Course Audit for returning AP teachers, and they also continue to check their AP Course Audit platform for notification emails. So they keep the process rolling throughout the school year.
And finally, the AP coordinator. So each teacher's name will appear in AP registration and ordering after their AP course audit form is approved. And please remember that approval is done by the school's AP course audit administrator. So, Susan, again, why as AP coordinators we need to worry about the course audit process? Well, we care because in order to do our work, we need those teachers' names to appear in AP registration and ordering. Now that we know why it's important, what do we need to do? So, here are some required actions in the AP course audit. For returning teachers, no action is required. As stated in the previous slide, as long as the teacher is teaching the same course and nothing has changed with their curriculum, the AP Course Audit Administrator will renew that teacher. If you have a new teacher or an existing AP teacher who's teaching a new course or there has been a curriculum change, action is required. So these teachers must complete and submit the course audit form in AP Course Audit. I would like to make a special note that international test centers that only administer exams do not need to go through the AP Course Audit process.
Okay, Danielle, now we're going to introduce a new term that is very specific to AP registration and ordering. And I'm going to ask it in a form of a question, kind of like Jeopardy. What is a class section?
I'm glad you asked that question, Susan, because we are going to talk about that right now. So, class sections. This is where students enroll to gain access to AP classroom instructional resources. Class sections allow the AP coordinator to also order AP exams. Class sections often mirror a school's master schedule of AP courses, teachers, and class periods. When should class sections be created? As soon as possible. You want your students to make sure that they're able to have immediate access to AP Classroom. And who creates these class sections? AP coordinators or AP teachers may create class sections. So, Susan, for me personally,
Mhm.
I like to create class sections so that I can have consistency because consistency is important. And one in particular reason class sections are important is because these will be featured in official AP score reports. So, how does this process work for you? And who creates the class sections at your school?
That's a great question, Danielle. And I think I'm going to have to confess a little bit. I am a little bit of a control freak. So I tend to create the class sections at my school. One, I like to ensure that my reports come back nice and tidy and neat. And I'm also the master scheduler, so I'm also very aware of when my class sections are. So that just makes it very convenient for me to create my class sections.
Susan, I like to use the term control aficionado a little bit more.
Birds of a feather, Danielle, birds of a feather.
Yes. So now that we've talked about class sections, we're going to talk about three options that you can use in creating your class sections. First, there's a standard full year. And just as its name states, these are sections that will run for the full school year. Then you can also choose fall semester only. So these sections run from the beginning of the school year and usually ends at the end of first semester or at the end of a first trimester. Spring semester only sections are those that start after the November 15th ordering deadline. Examples include some trimester courses or some block schedule courses. Now, the deadline to order spring semester only exams is March 14th, 2025. Late order fees do not apply to second semester spring courses up to March 14th, 2025. Now, I'd like to share that all across AP, there are some common examples of semester only courses that include the micro and macro economics, both AP US and comparative government, and to a lesser extent, AP psychology at some schools. Now, at my school, we do run our AP economics and US government classes as section only. Normally, they're run as spring semester courses, but this year, my macroeconomics course will run in the fall, and my AP US government course will stay in the spring. Now, let's watch a quick demo from our team member, Mark Hegelson.
Welcome to the first AP registration and ordering demonstration. Our first demo will focus on creating class sections. As we see here, we are on the AP registration and ordering homepage. Where do we go to create class sections? Right here on the courses page. You can see as we arrive here that when I scroll down, this is a page that lists all of the AP courses that we have and offer at our school. Today, we're going to be creating AP English Language and Composition class sections. So we scroll until we find that course on the page. There it is right at the top here. All right. We now need to create a new class section for Toni Morrison, our third period AP English Language and Composition teacher. Well, she's just had a section added to the master schedule. So how do we add a section? We simply click right here where it says Add Section. When we do that, we see a pop-up menu. We now need to determine how we would like to identify the course. For our purposes today, we will identify our class sections by the period they occupy in our master schedule. So in this section name box, I'm going to simply type in period 3. It's important to note that coordinators have the ability to name a class section whatever they choose. For example, if our school was on a block schedule, we would type in block A. It's best for coordinators to set up their system to match as closely as possible the naming conventions that work with their master schedule. Now, this next box, it asks us to identify the maximum number of students we will register in this class section. You'll notice that 40 is currently in place. This is the default for all sections, but no worries, we can change it. Again, we want to ensure that this class section in AP registration and ordering matches as closely as possible with our master schedule. After checking Toni Morrison's current third period roster, we know there are 20 students registered in the class, so we type in 20 in this box. Next, we're required to indicate what type of class section we're creating. We are creating a standard full year class section, so I plan to leave this as is because the default course schedule for the class section is in fact standard full year. I do want to point out here though, that the fall semester only class section, it's the same as a standard full year in terms of creating class sections at the beginning of the year. Choosing either of these options requires nothing more than a click on the drop-down menu. So let's leave it at standard full year. Finally, we have to tie this class section to the appropriate instructor. We click this drop-down menu right here under Teachers to see a list of all of those teachers in our school who've completed the appropriate steps in AP Course Audit to appear in AP Registration and Ordering for this course. You know what? There's Toni Morrison. See her right there. I'm going to click that name like I just did. Then I click Create Section, and here we go. We have two class sections now, Period 1 and Period 3. Langston Hughes for Period 1, Toni Morrison for Period 3. Feels like we're all set and ready to go. We've done it. Congratulations to us. But hold on. We have just received word from our counseling department that the master schedule has changed. Toni Morrison's third period class has now shifted to fourth period. Can we edit a class section we've already created? Absolutely. We just go over here to the Actions drop-down menu and we click Edit Section. Once again, our familiar pop-up box reappears. We can change anything we'd like in here. In this instance, we change it from Period 3 to Period 4. Then we click Save. And we're going to notice that Create Section changed to Save because we're not creating a section, we're just editing one. And there we go. Toni Morrison's third period AP English Language and Composition section has now shifted to the fourth period to match the master schedule. Good job. We really did it, guys. We're so happy and proud of ourselves. But hold on again. We've just received word from the counseling department, again, that the fourth period section is now being collapsed. The students will be moved into our already existing Period 1 class section. So now we need to delete our fourth period class section. We do so by going again to that Actions drop-down menu and clicking Delete Section. We see another pop-up window asking us if we'd like to delete this section. So long as no students have enrolled in this class section, which they haven't because we're at the beginning of the year, we just created the class section, no one had an opportunity to, we go ahead and click Delete. And then the class section is removed from AP Registration and Ordering. That's the process for creating a class section for our full year and fall semester only class sections. Next, let's go ahead and create a class section for a spring semester only course. Let's reimagine our timeline here. For this demo, it's now January of 2025, and we are preparing our spring semester only class sections. Again, we're matching our class sections in AP Registration and Ordering with our school's master schedule. We need to create a spring semester only fifth period AP English Language and Composition class section, once again for our favorite instructor, Toni Morrison. So what do? We go right back here to Add Section to begin the process of creating our class section. Keep in mind here that creating any of the three types of class sections in AP Registration and Ordering is all the same. We always just click Add Section each time. We're tasked again with how we'd like to identify this course. A best practice here, again, is to keep in mind that we keep it consistent with our master schedule. So I just type in Period 5 to make sure that it matches the master schedule. Just as with the standard full year class sections and those fall semester only class sections that we talked about, or the previous one we've created, I should say, we have 20 students in the maximum number of students. And then on that course schedule, I can choose standard full year, fall semester, but we know that this is a spring semester only one. So I click that. And I want you to notice the previous two, nothing new popped up, but this one, there's definitely some extra information that it's looking for. The first thing it's asking us for is a start date for this fifth period class section. At our school, our winter break concludes on January 6, 2025. So I click the little calendar and I find that date and I click it. And then we're asked to click this box right here to attest that, yes, in fact, that start date is accurate. This serves as a way for AP coordinators to indicate that all of the spring semester only class sections that they create in AP Registration and Ordering do indeed begin after the November 15th final ordering deadline. Next, we again need to tie this section to our favorite teacher, Toni Morrison. So we click that Teachers drop-down menu. We select Toni Morrison. We click Create Section again. And there we go. Toni Morrison, Period 5 class section, ready to go. It's all set. Please notice, though, there is that tiny little number 2 within a circle there. This is a helpful icon in our list of sections to quickly identify this section as a spring semester only class section.
We are now on item number 4 of our agenda, student enrollment. So what are we going to learn in this section? We'll focus on what are student accounts, how do students enroll in class sections, what resources are available to help with student enrollment, and how do I support students who are not taking AP courses at my school? Before we begin, we are going to revisit that timeline slide. So again, this includes majority of the activities that we will complete throughout the school year. But we're focusing on the beginning of the year activities. So we are at the point to talk about student enrollments that will take place during the months of August and September. So, what do you think is the one thing students might need to get started? What students will need are student accounts. So, why are they needed? College Board student accounts allow students to enroll in class sections for their AP course, indicates their desire to register for AP exams, provides them with the wonderful instructional resources in AP Classroom throughout the school year, will also give them an AP ID that will be consistent year after year, as well as enable them to see their AP scores and send a free AP score report to a college or university of their choice. Please note that in order to have a free score report sent, students must indicate this by June 20th, 2025. Now, looking at student accounts, students should use a single College Board account. Please ask them not to create a second account. So if you have students that took the PSAT or SAT, they already have a College Board account if they went to check their scores for PSAT or SAT exams. Please also remind students to use their full legal name as printed on government issued ID. If they have two last names, please make sure they enter both. They must keep student account information confidential. Another useful tool for students is the account help page. This page will resolve a majority of student account challenges without having to make a phone call. Please note, coordinators cannot access or edit student account information.
Danielle, I would like to focus on that account help link here on this slide. I cannot tell you how important this particular link is in helping students, and I hate to probably say this, but stay out of our office for those little things. If they use this account help page, this will help them get things accomplished really quickly and they can move forward so that we can free up time to help those students who may need additional help with other items. This account help page is so important. Does this resonate with you as well?
Yes, it does, Susan. I can't tell you how many times I've helped freshmen through this process because a parent created their account. They don't remember what email
Yeah.
address they use, and students who didn't use both of their last names. So, yes, this resonates with me very well. So, we've talked about class sections, we've talked about student accounts. So, now we're on join codes. And we're going to talk about how the two will work together. So, now that you've created your class sections, each class section will have an automatically generated unique alphanumeric code attached to it. Coordinators or teachers will distribute join codes to AP students. I would like to note that you should remind your teachers and students to not share join codes outside of your school. In addition to that, if you create class sections by period, You also want to make sure to remind your teachers and students not to share join codes between class periods, since each class section will have a different code. All students in AP courses should enroll in a class section using a corresponding join code. In order to access AP Classroom, students must enroll even if they are unsure about or do not plan on taking the AP exam. Here's another look at where you can find the join codes in AP registration and ordering. So when you're on AP registration and ordering webpage, you will click on the courses tab. Teachers can also see the join code for their class sections only. So as AP coordinators, we're on AP registration and ordering. We click on the course tab. And if you look at your courses and go to the far right of your screen, you'll see an action button. When you click on that, you will see 4 options and you will click where it says See Join Code. The picture on the bottom left will show you what it will look like when you click on See Join Code.
For this demo, we are going to locate the join codes for our class sections. With join codes, our AP students will be able to join their AP class sections and indicate their exam decision. We begin the process of accessing a join code by clicking once again on the courses page. We have one student in our office today who still needs to register for a Period 1 AP English Language and Composition class section. So we scroll down until we find that course. There we go. We have Period 1. The teacher is Langston Hughes. We access the join code for this section by clicking the Actions drop-down menu right here and then See Join Code. When we do this, a pop-up window appears with the join code right in the center. We then share this join code with the student. I'd also like to highlight this print code option in the bottom left. I can click this, print out the join code, and hand it to the student to register later if we had more time. But we don't, so I share the join code right then and there. Watch as the student uses it to simultaneously register for their AP English Language and Composition exam and join their first period AP English Language and Composition class section. The student's all set and ready to go. One last thing to mention though. This download section info with join codes area right up here. It's a great resource to use at the beginning of the registration process. Clicking here downloads a spreadsheet with each class section we've created and their associated join codes. I typically take this, clean it up a bit, and then reshare with my AP teachers so they have join codes and are ready to register their AP students.
Now we are going to talk about how all of this works together. And we're going to start with a quick video, and it's the first of 2 very helpful resources.
Welcome back, AP students. It's time to join your AP class section. It's easy. Go to myap.collegeboard.org on a computer, tablet, or smartphone and sign in to your account. If you don't have an account, just create one, but do not create a duplicate account. Can't remember your login? It's the same one you use to access your AP or PSAT and MSQT scores, or to register for the SAT, or that you used to access My AP last year. There you go, and you're in. Click the Join a Course or Exam button and enter the unique join code that your AP teacher or your school's AP coordinator gave you. Verify the class information, fill out your registration information, and that's it. Congratulations, you've enrolled in your AP class. Be sure to stay up to date on your assignments, practice your skills, and watch AP daily videos.
That's a great video, Susan. I know a lot of schools have used that. I personally have used that. Here is another popular tool we think you'll like. These are student enrollment guides, and there's one for students and one for your teachers. These are one-page guides that can be found in the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1, as well as online in the AP Coordinator's Resource Library. Next, let's discuss some options for enrolling students in class sections. So, Some processes to help students enroll in their class sections are having your AP teachers complete this step in class. AP teachers will guide students to enroll in class section during class time. And this is really beneficial because the teachers have the students right in front of them and they can walk around to make sure that students are enrolling in their class.
Another great option is the homework. AP teachers could assign enrolling in a class section for homework. You can provide the link to the video and the student enrollment one-page guide.
Another option that we can complete as AP coordinators is probably best for small programs, but as an AP coordinator, you can go to the AP class and guide students to enroll in their class section.
An additional option is the assembly. An AP coordinator could host an assembly to guide the students all together in their class sections. You can do this before school, after school, during lunch, or even during a break.
As an AP coordinator, you can send an email to students and parents with a link to the video and the student enrollment one-page guide. I would like to note that it's pretty common to mix and match these options. Some schools will start with AP teachers in class, then use follow up emails or classroom visits to get those very last stragglers. I personally will have my students completed in class, and then I will go through and see who still hasn't signed up and call them down in my office to make sure we get them registered on time.
Danielle, I think we kind of do this as a hybrid enrollment. Um, so let's just think of our student enrollment as hybrid. We start in class, we get emails, we do classroom visits, and my teachers actually do homework. So I think we've got it covered.
Yes. So now that we've covered class sections, join codes, and student enrollment, we've covered most students and situations. However, there's one more related bonus topic to talk about. Susan, what about those exam only students?
We love our exam only students.
So, who are exam only students? First, these are independent self study students that maybe your school doesn't teach the course or they don't administer the exams. They can also include students who attend another school, homeschool students, as well as virtual school students. It's worth noting only high school affiliated students can take exams at either their own school or at another AP authorized high school or test center. It is very likely your school or district already has a policy in place around exam only students. You may take all of these types, some of these types, or none of these types of students. How much you charge exam only students, again, is a local decision. If you don't know your school or district's exam only policy, please make note to find out as soon as possible. So, let's take a moment to look at exam only class sections. We're going into AP registration and ordering to take a look at this. But before we do, I just wanted to highlight that exam only class sections can be added to an AP course that your school offers. They can also be added to an AP course that your school does not offer. Please see the AP Coordinator's Manual Part 1 for specific information about exam only sections for Semester 2 courses and fees and deadlines. Special note, international schools working with test centers may have different deadlines and instructions. Again, we're going to have a visit with our team member colleague, Mark Hegelson, for a demonstration.
All right. We are in AP registration and ordering again. Let's go back to the courses page. We are now going to demonstrate how to create an exam-only class section. In this situation, let's imagine it is sometime in the fall before the November 15th final ordering deadline. A homeschool student in our area has reached out and inquired about registering for an AP English Language and Composition exam in our school. As always, the decision to register the student or not is entirely up to each AP coordinator. In this instance, since we are already offering this exam at our school, we agree to register the student. The first thing we do, as always, is scroll down to our AP English Language and Composition class sections. There they are right there. We have that period 1 class section that's been here for the entire time. But that's not where we want to register this homeschool student. We need to create an exam-only section. As we have in both of our previous demonstrations, the standard full year and the spring semester only class sections, we go ahead and click right here, add section. And this is where it gets interesting. Again, we are creating this section to provide a homeschooled student with the opportunity to test. As such, this student does not attend our school or sit in any of the class sections that match our master schedule. So what do we name this class section? In this case, I think we should name this exam only section exactly that, exam only. This serves as a nice reminder that it's different from any class section, our standard full year, our fall semester or spring semester only class sections. Next, we should acknowledge that there's no class roster associated with this section. So what do we enter here for the maximum number of students? It's perfectly appropriate in this case to enter 1, as we only have 1 student registering for this exam. If another homeschool or virtual school or independent self-study student reaches out later, remember, we can always adjust this. Now, this next part is important. Pay attention to the teacher's drop-down area of the pop-up here. When I go to click on exam only, the teacher's drop-down menu entirely disappears because exam-only sections are not tied to any AP course audit authorized teacher. This section is now all set, so I click create section and there we go. Our exam-only section is all set, ready to receive the 1 homeschooled student who wishes to register for the exam tied to this course. One final note, exam-only sections can be added to any course we already offer at our school, or it can be added to an AP course that is not offered at our school by clicking right up here on Add Course near the top of the page.
Now, let's hear from a fellow AP coordinator.
Hi, I'm Nikki Martinez, AP Coordinator at Miami Southridge Senior High School. I'd like to take a moment to share some thoughts with you about a special case that sometimes occurs during our student enrollment process. And that is enrolling a student at 2 schools, because sometimes students need not 1, but 2 join codes. This would apply to a student who is not enrolled at my school. This student may be enrolled at another school, at a virtual school, or is homeschooled. In other words, this student is testing somewhere other than where they are learning. Let's begin by looking at the left part of the slide and the teaching school. The teaching school creates a class section, distributes a join code, and the student enrolls in the class section. The AP coordinator then sets the order exam status to no, because the student is not testing at the teaching school. However, enrollment in the class section at the teaching school will still allow the student to receive access to instructional resources assigned by the AP teacher. Now, let's look at the testing school. The AP coordinator at the testing school creates an exam-only section, distributes the join code, and the student enrolls in the exam-only class section. All students enrolled in the exam-only class section automatically have their order exam status set to yes, and the AP coordinator then submits an exam order for the student. Now let's look at the entire picture. Students who are learning at 1 school and who are testing at another school. These students enroll in 2 different class sections using 2 different join codes at 2 different schools. Thank you for a moment of your time, and good luck with the start of the school year. Now, back to your workshop.
Yes, it's important to note that students enrolling at 2 schools must use the same College Board account. They do not need to create separate accounts.
Well, Danielle, we're getting close to the end. Let's go on to section 5.
Yes, we've hit the last item on our agenda, and that's the AP exam order. So, what will we learn in this last and final section? We're going to learn how to manage schedule changes, support transfer students, submit my final order, and last but not least, how do we get the slides from today's presentation? Now, one final time, we are going to look at the timeline of events from August through July. But I would like to note that we've actually moved up the timeline. So we've gone from August and September to now the October, November months. And this is when we will order our AP exams. So first, let's take a look at organizing and preparing to submit our AP exam order. So, as you go through your exam order, there are some common updates that you'll need to make sure to check. First and foremost, how to change a section, how to drop a student, how to transfer a student in, as well as transferring a student out. So let's focus on how to change a section for a student. So when we change a section, this is changing a student from one class section to another. So as you can see on the screen, Samuel's student is currently in Kyle Blue's Period 2 class. And then on the right, you can see options for changing that student's class section. We can change the student to exam only. We can also change the student to the same teacher, but during a different class period. Or we can change the student to a new teacher. Also, just under the screenshot, we can see the click path to do this in AP registration and ordering. So again, that's students, action, then change section. So I'm sure we've experienced this before, but what happens with that student that drops from our AP classes and they are no longer enrolled in any of our AP class sections? As AP coordinators, we will use the drop student to drop a student from the course and exam only. Again, we will use the drop student feature only if we're dropping a student from the course and the exam. We will not use the drop student feature if a student is leaving the course but still plans on taking the AP exam. In this instance, we will use the change section feature and move the student to exam only section. If we do have a student that is going to remain in the course, but they've decided not to take the AP exam, then we will use the order exam status by changing it from yes to no. Again, just under the screenshot, we can see the click path to do this in AP registration and ordering. Students, action, drop student. So Susan, I don't know about you, but every year I get a few of those students that enroll in our school, and I have to use this transfer in option. So, only AP coordinators can execute the transfer action. Now, each class section has a unique transfer code, and it is only to be used for students transferring into your school, and they're going to enroll in each class section. It is important to note that you are not to use the join code, but use again the transfer code. Late order fees do not apply to students when the transfer code is used. The AP coordinator may transfer a student in even if their prior school has not transferred them out. And as the new school, we are responsible for collecting AP exam fees from the student as needed. So please look at the screen and you will see that you will pick course, action, and then see the transfer code, and it will open up a new code just like we talked about viewing the join code. And finally, we are going to talk about the transfer out student. This is another action that is only to be completed by the AP coordinator. This removes a student from all class sections, will remove them from our exam order. Canceled and unused exam fees do not apply when we transfer a student out. AP classroom data does not transfer to the new school. Again, the AP coordinator may transfer a student out without the new school completing the transfer in. It is a school and district decision on if you are going to issue refunds for students transferring out of your school. At this point, we are going to watch a demo from our team member, Mark Hegelson.
We've been working on the courses page for our demos so far. We're now going to navigate to the students page. I'm going to click that right now so that we can see how to make changes to our exam order as needed. First, let's start with the change section demo. To do this, we need to find the student who has a section change. Today, we're going to use Liam Smith. We can see a list of all of our AP students on the left-hand side, and I can scroll that list until we find the student, but that can be pretty time-consuming, especially if you have a large program. To save that time, let's go to the search field right here and just type in Smith. When I do that, hey, like magic, there's Liam Smith. Okay, so his name appears. I've got all of the AP courses that Liam Smith is enrolled in. We're going to look to change the class section for his AP English Language and Composition course. I'm going to go over here to the right-hand side on the Actions drop-down menu, and you may not be able to see this when I click it, but I have Change Section, Drop Student, and Transfer Out as options. First, let's go ahead and do Change Section. When I do that, a pop-up box appears. Okay, underneath the Move To, I'm going to click on the drop-down menu where I see another set of options, and again, you may not be able to see them. I can change Liam to an exam-only class section. He's already in period 1 with Langston Hughes. I can change him to the same period, but a different teacher, period 1 with Toni Morrison, or a different period, different teacher, that's period 3 with Toni Morrison. I like that option. That's where we want to move him, period 3, different teacher, Toni Morrison. I click that, and then I click change section, and there we go. That is how we change sections for a student schedule change. So next, let's take a look at dropping a student. Remember, we only use drop student if a student is dropping the course and the exam. Let's stick on Liam Smith here and go back to that AP English Language and Composition class section. Okay, again, I'm going to go to the right-hand side. I'm going to click that Actions drop-down menu. This time I choose Drop Student. Okay, again, a pop-up box appears asking us if we're sure we want to drop that student. If Liam Smith is dropping both the class and not taking the exam, we can click on the drop button. This is going to remove Liam Smith from the roster and remove his exam from our exam order. I don't actually want to do that right here. I don't want to drop Liam Smith from this class, but if I wanted to, I could click drop right now, and that would happen to him right there. I'm going to click cancel because I do want to talk about the transfer out function. Okay. That's the final choice on our student page. Remember, transfer out removes a student from all class sections and removes corresponding exams from the exam order. Let's just stick on Liam Smith here, right? Next to his name, again, we look for AP English Language and Composition, and we're going to hit that Actions drop-down menu and pick Transfer Out. When we select that, again, a pop-up box will come asking us to attest that this student is no longer in our school. If we are 100% sure that Liam Smith is no longer at our school, we can go ahead and click in the checkbox. The yellow Submit button, okay, that will then appear, and we can click on that button to complete the transfer out. This step cannot be undone, so please be sure the student has left your school. All right. Again, I'm not going to do that to Liam Smith. We actually want to keep him in our school, in our demonstration school. So let's keep him right here for right now. So I'm going to click cancel. Our final change is transfer in. This step is for students who are enrolling at your school and enrolling in AP courses at your school after students have enrolled with join codes. To complete a transfer in, we do have to go back to that courses page. So let's click that now. From our list, we're going to scroll down again, find that AP English Language and Composition area where we have 4 class sections. We're going to find the section that the student will be enrolling in. Let's go ahead and put them in period 1 with Langston Hughes. We're going to go over to that Actions drop-down menu and click on See Transfer Code. Because this student is transferring in after our initial student enrollment, we need to be sure to give them the transfer code, not a join code, so as to avoid late order fees. Remember, a student transferring into your school enrolls in each class section with a different transfer code. So that's how we change sections, drop students, transfer in, and transfer out. All right. Thanks so much for your time and the demonstrations.
And now that we've walked through some common updates for our exam order, Danielle, let's talk now about submitting the exam order.
Yes, Susan, it's almost time to have those cheers going. And we've made it. Yay! So, round of applause. You guys will see that wonderful yellow button because we are ready to submit our order. So, we're going to push that yellow button that says review and submit order. And congratulations, you've made it. We've submitted our order. I do want to make a special note that we can still submit and update our order as often as needed. As we just learned, students will enter and leave class sections throughout the year. So we need to make sure that we are continuously checking and monitoring AP exam order to ensure updates are accurately reflected in AP registration and ordering. And on that note, we've completed the final section of today's workshop.
Thank you again for attending the AP Coordinators Back to School workshop. It has been a pleasure being with you today. Please check the video's description to find a survey. We are always open to hearing feedback from AP coordinators on how we can continue to improve sessions just like these. We would appreciate your time and your thoughts. There is a special bonus. If you complete the survey, you will gain access to the slides from today's workshop. Thank you for spending time with us and hope you have a great year.
Again, thank you so much. In the beginning, I shared with you how overwhelming it can be to start scrapbooking. But once you've gathered your supplies and ideas together, you can see your ideas come to light as your album begins to take shape into your work of art. I hope we've done that for us today by giving us all the supplies and tools to start this school year off successfully so that we can give each other a round of applause when we hit that exam order submit button in November. I'm Danielle Volan, and it's been a pleasure presenting to you today.
And I'm Susan Barfield. Thank you again for attending our workshop.